Hello, Namaste, Vanakkam, Sat Sri Akal, and Adab. I'm Shrikant Shastri, and this week I'd like to talk about how to find, discover, and enjoy the best local food in different parts of our country. One of the great things about India is the range of food that is available. Not only does it vary from state to state, within each state also there is so much variety available. I'm a vegetarian, but I still find so much to enjoy and discover. Most of my friends and colleagues know that I like finding local food, and so they try and help me out. And so there's an interesting story that happened recently. Uh, I visited Guwahati for 2 days in April. We had a board meeting and other meetings. So my colleague there, Pranjal, who was making all the agenda and itinerary for the meetings, he was planning the food also. And he knew that I would enjoy eating Assamese food. And he arranged for 3 Assamese meals back to back. One night we went to an excellent restaurant called Paradise, and the other 2 meals he arranged for Assamese food at the office itself. So I follow 3 simple rules to be able to find the best local food in all parts of the country. And today I'd like to share those 3 rules with all of you. So, rule number 1 is to do good research. So I start by looking at what Zomato, TripAdvisor, Swiggy, and others have to say about the local restaurants. And that gives you a wealth of information. Sometimes it may give you the popular places like Kesar Da Dhaba in Amritsar. Sometimes it may come up with surprising gems. The other thing I do is to ask friends who I know who live in that city. For example, when I go to Pune, my sources of information are my friends Naina, Durgesh, and Shankar Iyer. And once we all went together to Shreyas, which is a well-known local Maharashtrian restaurant, and we had a wonderful Maharashtrian Thali. So I found something interesting about Shreyas. The main Thali itself is unlimited food, but they don't give sweets in the Thali. They want you to order the sweets separately because they have a variety of excellent sweet dishes that you can order. In some other cities, when you call a friend and ask for advice, they might just invite you to their home. And that's what happened in Patna. When I called Pramad Sinha in Patna to ask for advice for food, I and a few others actually got invited to his home for some excellent Bihari breakfast. Sometimes you may not find anything in your research, but when you go to a city and you walk around, you might find something very interesting in a street corner. So I was once in Chennai and staying at a hotel on Old Mahabalipuram Road, or OMR as it's known. When we walked out of the hotel and walked into one of the bylanes, there was a small shack run by an old couple, and they had fantastic idli, vade, and dosa. And guess what? For per head, the cost was less than 100 rupees for that entire breakfast put together. So that's rule number 1. Do some good research. You will come up with excellent findings. Ask your friends, and sometimes just go out and walk around and find some good places. So that was rule number 1. So rule number 2 is to keep time for food discovery even when you're on business travel, and certainly during holiday travel. It's great fun going out in a group and discovering new places to eat. Recently, I was in Kolkata and I went out with my colleagues and fellow board members at IIM Calcutta Innovation Park to a new Bengali restaurant in Godiahat. This restaurant is called Babu Culture, and it opened only 3 months ago, and it was fantastic. In the past, I have been to some of the other well-known Bengali restaurants like Aheli at Peerless Inn on Chaurangi or 6 Baliganj Place, but Babu Culture was a great discovery. Or in 2019, when I and about 12 others, we went on a campaign trail with the First Post newspaper to UP. And so me, Rahul Narvekar, his son Rian Narvekar, and Sonia Khurana had great fun going out and eating street food for breakfast one morning near the hotel we were staying. It was fantastic, authentic Banarasi street food. Chandni Chowk in Delhi is a great place. I live in Delhi and look for opportunities to go to Chandni Chowk. Yes, during COVID it has been not possible, but before COVID I had two memorable visits to Chandni Chowk. One was a group of my original classmates from IIT Kanpur. We all took the metro train to Chandni Chowk station, walked up and did the full itinerary of Chandni Chowk street food. And that taught me a lot. So later on, when my fellow Crayon co-founder Ivaturi Vijay Kumar or IVK visited Delhi from Bangalore, we took him and his family out also on the same Chandni Chowk circuit. So it's great fun to go out in a group, good food, great memories. Sometimes you may be traveling alone on work and you don't find company, but even on those occasions, I make sure that I go and do some exploration. And one of my memorable outings was in Bhubaneswar, where I went out to the Mayfair area and had an excellent Odia Thali. The other place was Trichur in Kerala. I had work the next day to speak at the event. When I landed the previous evening, I told the cab driver to take me to one of the places where authentic Kerala food is served. But guess what? Many places in South, in the evening, they serve only tiffin or snacks, not a full meal. So that was disappointing, but I had some great snacks that evening. I strongly recommend that you work with colleagues who are foodies. They're so much fun to hang out with. In fact, I would go to the extent of half jokingly giving you one interview question to ask the next time you're trying to hire a candidate. Ask them, do you live to eat or eat to live? And maybe that is the tiebreaker question that allows you to decide whether to hire that person or not. And my rule number 3, it's easiest to explore the variety of food in a particular region by going in for a thali, because they give you so many small katoris or vatis of different kinds of food, and it gives you a full exposure rather than ordering items separately. And there are great thalis available everywhere across the country, and some of my most enjoyable thalis have been the Uttarakhandi thali in Mukteshwar, the Rajasthani thali in Udaipur and Jaipur, of course Gujarati thali, Andhra thali, and the Kerala thali. Thalis are a great way to explore the food of a region. And yes, one thing to watch out for, the mistake that I made in Trichur. Some places in India, thalis are served only at lunch, and this is certainly true for parts of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. But otherwise, my rule number 3 is go in for a thali. It's great value for money and a great way to discover the food of a region. So therefore, those were my rules 1, 2, and 3. Rule number 1, do some good research before you reach a city. Rule number 2 is find time, whether on business travel or certainly during holiday travel, for food discovery. And rule number 3, go in for a thali, great way to experience and great value for money. I'd like to end with something that I've learned over the years to figure out whether or not the food that I'm eating at a place is good or not. And in North India, when I go out to eat, I call it the tandoori roti test. When you go to a restaurant and you see the tandoori roti they give you, that tells me whether or not that food in that place is going to be good. If it is perfectly fresh, crisp and hot, not leathery, not soft, not limp, you know that place has a very good cook and the rest of the food will be great. In the South, one of the tests I use is I call it the Medu Vade test. If the Medu Vade is perfectly crisp and fluffy and literally melts in your mouth, it's not hard, it's not leathery, it's not difficult to chew, then you know if that South Indian cook is an excellent cook and the rest of the food will be great. I'm sure there are similar tests that one can use, simple tests we can use in other parts of the country to decide whether or not a particular restaurant or a joint is going to be good or not. Thank you very much. Hope these 3 rules were good, very useful, and go out and discover, and I'll keep sharing more information as I get it. Look forward to hearing from you.